Hey, I'm Zhemmie. Welcome back to my midlife crisis. On last episode, I rode over 81 kilometers on a happy gas and flew a couple of 100 kilometers with my Elytra to try and find all the new baby models that came out in the Tiny Takeover update. And I was mostly successful. I got quite a few of the land-based mobs. In fact, I think I got all of them except for a few of the variants, like some of the variants of fox. And I didn't get a polar bear cub because I thought you could breed them. So I brought 4 polar bears back here, but you can't breed polar bears in Minecraft. So I saw a polar bear cub, but I didn't actually get one. It is now semi-organized chaos on my fields with all of these mobs, all the parents, all the babies, and that means they all need somewhere to live. And as I mentioned in my last episode, that means my next task is to build a stable type structure. And you can see I've started laying it out on my field over here. I mentioned the idea of doing an open-ended horseshoe, which I stuck with. So we're going to have a 2-story structure along the back of the horseshoe and then 1-story arms coming out. And there will be pens for the mobs on the first floor, and then that second floor in the back is going to hold some of my mob farms, like my honey farm and my leather farm and a few other things. Hey buddy. And so I'm really excited about this. I actually think I'm also going to put an aviary in the center of this courtyard here. So that's what this circle is denoting. And I'm super excited about this build. I think I'm going to make it in a similar stone style to the temple behind me. I actually think maybe I'm going to go a little bit more for deep slate on this build with tough as the highlights. But the very first thing I need to do is head on over to my Temple of Mental Health and do my weekly check-in, which I actually forgot to do last week. I got so distracted by all the cute little babies that I forgot to do check-in on my own mental health. But that is the reason that I'm doing this channel, so let's head over there now. I am back in my Temple of Mental Health with my beautiful axolotl swimming above me and my kitty cats behind me, and I feel more serene and relaxed already, which is good because, to be honest with you, I've had a rough week. Let's start with my perimenopause symptoms. Okay, so actually these are one of the few things, oops, I went a little too far there. These are one of the few things that continue to be okay this last week. I'm still pretty much at I need a nap and deodorant because I've definitely had a little bit more trouble sleeping, but we're not getting to the point where I can't remember what sleep actually felt like. So that one's pretty good. We stayed pretty consistent with that. Where things started to get a little rocky was over here with anxiety. So last week I was kind of, why is just existing in the world so hard? This week I'm definitely under the bed with my cats. It has been a rough week for a lot of different reasons. Some of them I mentioned last week because of things to do with my job, or rather losing my job, and those are going to be ongoing for a while, so that one's going to be an ongoing challenge for a bit. And then my overall mental health, because of that, we're really up in the major categories where I feel like the weight of the world is on my shoulders, or if not the weight of the world, the weight of everything else, the weight of finding a new job, the weight of trying to keep my mental health good while doing that. And then unfortunately I started having some challenges with my creative outlet, which is this channel. And I'm going to go up into the axolotl tank to talk about those because I feel the need for some axolotl therapy. Here I am surrounded by all these water kittens getting bumped left and right by their cute little tails, and I'm already feeling much better. So let's talk about what sort of happened with some of my YouTube stuff the last couple of weeks, because I started this channel to really try and focus on my own mental health, and I posted my first video and it was really cool. I was really excited. I got over 140 views in the first week. That seemed like something really neat, and that, you know, I'd managed to connect with some people. And then I posted my second video and I got like 40 views in a week. And that's an entirely normal thing to happen with a YouTube video, but I'm a recovering perfectionist, and that part of me that I have been trying to deal with, trying to keep out of my head, what with everything else going on in my life, it started sneaking back in and whispering things to me like, people don't think you're good enough. People don't want to watch your videos. Your voice sounds weird. You should stop saying so many times. You should stop saying You should make your videos more interesting. You should learn how to cut your videos more cleanly. Oh my goodness, the circles going round in my head were kind of crazy. So after I put together my last video, I sat down, I realized what was going on, and I sat down and I had a little talk with myself. I reminded myself why I'm doing this. The views don't matter to me, and they shouldn't matter to me. First of all, I am still learning how to do this, learning how to record videos, how to make an interesting video. I'm complete noob at that. This is only my 5th video. I actually even made a video about my storage because I said I was going to upgrade my storage, and I did, and I put it together, figured it out all by myself, and I was really proud of myself. And then I never posted the video because I thought it was boring. So I've made a pact with myself right now. I am going to go and finish that video and post it this week because who cares? What matters is that I was proud of myself and I did something that I thought was cool, and I want to share that with whoever wants to watch it. That's one person, whether it's 100 people. In the end, what matters is I'm doing something creative. I'm doing something for myself, and I need to make sure I don't lose track of that. So I am going to go out there and start this build with my new sense of purpose, which is that I'm having fun. At least I'm trying to have fun, and if this is not feeling like fun anymore, I need to step back, figure out why, and remind myself that this is my midlife crisis, this is supposed to be helping me, and everything else just isn't that important. All right, there we go. I feel I've unburdened myself. Let's go build a stable. I have finished the first floor of my stable complex, and I gotta say I'm pretty happy with it. So here we're landing in the courtyard. I'm still thinking I'm going to put an aviary here in the middle, and I'm going to have to extend all the stonework out into the courtyard here just to create a sense of continuity between these two buildings. And I'm really happy with this. So along each side, we have these larger pens, and then at each end, we've got sort of a more open pen where I'm probably going to put things like cats or things like that we might want to interact with a little more often, and then some stairs up to the second. This space is going to be sort of storage and animal husbandry. It's going to be fun to do an interior there. And then along this end, we've got some smaller but longer pens. I'm thinking those might be kennels for some of the dog species that I have. And then the same along this side. So I discovered that if you give a baby a second golden dandelion, they will continue growing up. So I now have more goats than intended, adult goats than intended. I have 2 baby goats, but I realize I need to name the babies that I'm going to keep. So I have named my 2 baby goats. Here, let's see. I've named them, nope, we don't let them out. I have named them Artemis 1 and Artemis 2 because they like to leap so high, and with hopefully the Artemis 2 rocket going up today, because it's April 1st today when I'm doing this. Hopefully the Artemis 2 rocket will launch today. I thought that might be a fun name for some goats that look like they're shooting for the moon. 3, 2, 1. Now I have to work on my second floor. This is the floor where some of my farms are going to be. Like, I'm going to have my bee farm up here. I think I'm going to have a small wool farm and a small leather farm up here too. I don't need big industrial amounts of these things. I just need a steady supply. So these aren't going to be huge farms, which is why this is not a huge space. But as you can see, I'm going to have to cover over the roofs of some of the kennels down below because that's not a very flat surface. And I think what I'm going to do is continue this up in more of the tuff. As you can see here, I started off the facade with the tuff, just the regular tuff, not the tuff bricks. But I think I'm going to continue that up and then maybe do some kind of neat patterning or something like that in the exterior walls of this second floor. And then I can put all my animals in, and I can get the courtyard done, and I can get the floors of each of the stables done. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm really happy with how this is turning out so far. I have finished the second floor, and overall I'm pretty happy with how this looks. I did some interesting detailing on the facade of the second floor. In the tuff there, you can see that I've done some alternating smooth tuff and some chiseled tuff. And then I added some orange terracotta under the roof, because that's kind of been a theme here. You can see that in my roof up here, and even in the roof on my other Temple of Mental Health, there was sort of a different color underneath the stairs that I used for the roof, just to provide a little bit of color and contrast. So I'm pretty happy with this. I'm a little worried it's a little bit top heavy, because the second floor is quite a bit larger. I'm gonna have to think about that for a little while. I don't know, maybe want to trim it down a little, but I also kind of need the space. So let's go take a closer look, and we can see all the details I put into this. So here you can see the detail that I put into this facade here. I don't know why I did this. I just started playing around with some ways to make this a little more interesting, because it was just this giant expanse of tuff, and I didn't really want to put windows in it because I'm going to have my farms up there, and that's not going to be something terribly interesting to look at, especially farms where I might be, killing mobs, like the leather farm and things like that. Most of them won't be like the sheep and the wool farm and everything like that, but there'll be the occasional one, and just something about that makes me not want to show the other animals down here. Anyways, so I've got this going on with, again, these different patterns. I started off putting each of the 4 colors of the different seasons on the temple. So that's like amethyst, gold, copper, and lapis lazuli, but the colors by themselves don't really go that well together. And then I was looking at it, and this is off the sort of fall quadrant of my base here, because around the temple each of these quadrants is themed to a different season, and this is the fall quadrant right here. So I thought it might make more sense to have it sort of themed in with the fall coloring of having, you can see that the panda on this side of the temple has copper blocks for the eyes as well. So yeah, overall I'm super happy with how this turned out. You can see that the bottom is still the same, and then up on the second floor I haven't really done anything except light it up a bit so that it didn't turn it into an unintentional mob farm. But yeah, this has been a super fun build. It's actually been kind of therapeutic for me to be able to just sort of slip into this and just do some building and some designing, just playing around with some of these fun little touches and accents. And it's been a little bit of a rough week, so sometimes that's what Minecraft is for me. It's that escape into creativity that I need to keep me going, and that's definitely what this build has been this week. So next step is to head back outside and get the courtyard worked on. So now we need to actually put a proper floor in here. We need to put animals in. We need to put floors in all of these places, and we need to actually extend this stone courtyard theme into this area so that there's that continuity between these two areas, and it looks like it's all part of the same civilization, which it is. And then I can start moving some more of my animals in. This is my 5th time trying to record this clip. I have been nonstop interrupted by cats whining, cats scratching, but I have evicted them all from my room. So hopefully I can now get this clip done. Anyways, this took me a little bit longer than I'd anticipated to get the last details done, to get all the animals moved in, and to get this field area done, but I am super happy with the results. Let's go take a look. So if we start over here from the main temple and we come over this bridge, now we have some parrots sitting here. They were originally supposed to go in the aviary, which you can see is now for the gas lanes. I could not figure out a way to get them in there where they would stay, and also the gas lanes would just congregate around the parrots and just stare at them. So I realized they're not going to be able to cohabitate in there. So I put the parrots out here for now. I will figure out a better solution for them. I'm going to start over here with this sort of pigsty that we've attached to the end, and you can see the little baby piggies. Their legs disappear in the mud. It is so cute, and like it's so adorable. Anyways, they've got their trough over there, they've got a little bit of a wallow, which they actually do like using, so very happy with all the piggies in their little pig pen here. And then over here we've got the armadillos, who, yes, they'll roll into their little balls when I come close, but then they'll unroll and we get to watch them on their little tiny tippy toes wandering around. They're so cute. And here we've got an absolute chaos of chickens. I may have to do something about this at some point, because every time I look in here, there's like these little cubes running around, there's these big chickens flying around, there's eggs everywhere. It is absolute chicken chaos in here, but I actually am enjoying it. So yeah, we've got the chickens in there. In here we've got some mushrooms and our cold biome cows. Slightly less chaotic than the chicken enclosure, but still very cute. Over here we have the ocelots family in here, which I think is really, really adorable and cute. And this is the first of my storage areas. And as you can see, I've added a few details like the wheelbarrow. I've done some armor standing to make a broom and a shovel. I put some barrels in here for storing things, and I have put some stacks of extra hay, other food like the camels eat cactus. There's all kinds of other animals that eat other things. We've got stored bamboo. We've got stored carrots. We've got all kinds of things to help feed or just bedding for these various animals. And as you can see, I have liberally used the leaf litter all over the place to kind of show footprints. Like, so someone is wheeling this wheelbarrow in and out. Someone is walking over to get stuff from the shelves after they've come from one of these muddier enclosures. So really trying to make this look lived in, and I'm really happy with the way it's turned out so far. As we walk out of this storage area, we can see the aviary in the middle. As I mentioned, I couldn't quite get the parrots and the goslings in here, but I absolutely love the movement and the happiness that the goslings add. It's kind of hard to make anything that didn't look like they weren't behind bars without using glass, and I didn't really want to use glass. It's not really part of the aesthetic of this particular base. I might use it in a few small cases, but overall I really liked the way the copper chains look. I've got to get some honey farm going so that I can make some of them look a bit older, some of them look a bit newer, and wax them when they get to the right level of oxidation. And then over here we've got some of our kennels. We've got some of our dogs in one. We've got our calico dogs in the other. Of course, I've had to make them all sit, otherwise they would just follow me around and teleport all the time. I have the Arctic foxes in this one. They are still on leads at the moment, because if I take them off the leads, there's a possibility they could jump out and go after the chickens. So I'm leaving them on their leads at the moment. I did end up, this is our other storage area. Again, tried to make it look really lived in, like there's shelving with extra food. We've got another wheelbarrow. We've also got like a hoe and a shovel and some shears over here, and then just various storage. And again, using this leaf litter to kind of make it look like a high trafficked area. I did just pop the cats in here, and I have left them on their leads as well. I've actually got to figure out something a little different for the cats, and I will eventually put something else in here, but for now those guys are going to go there. And then over here we have our donkeys and mules. So we have one adult mule and one little baby mule. I've got a couple donkeys. I want to make some more babies just because they're so cute. And we've got our llamas in here. We've got all our llamas with blankets on them. We've got our baby llamas as well. And then, of course, we have our goats, who are our first residents here. And Artemis 1, Artemis 2 are still there as babies, which is really cute. And then at the end here, I added a rabbit hutch. So as we can see, I've got the rabbits in there. I did keep them on their leads because, to be honest with you, when I took them off the leads, they spent all their time in the back corner trying to escape, and it just looked like they were terrified constantly, whereas they're quite calm on the leads. So as we walk out here, we can see that the path gradually goes from a stone path into a grass path, and we have our pasture out here. And in this very first pen, we have our sniffers. And it's really great having these sniffers be able to roam around at the moment, because they can sniff out their ancient seeds, and that means that I can get the torch flower and the Oh, what's that? The pitcher plant. That's the pitcher plant. I love those two flowers. So I'm really happy that these guys are able to wander around. Over here, we have got our camels, our lovely derpy camels. There's one sitting over here, and there's a little baby just sitting over here. I'm sure he's going to wiggle his ear. There you go, wiggling his ears. I did have to put them in a too high enclosure because I discovered pretty quickly that they can walk right over a single height fence. So might try at some point to maybe put some sand in here as well, just make them feel a little bit more at home. But for now, I think they're doing pretty well. And then in this main part of the pasture, I've got our beautiful horses. These are the ones that I brought from a very far away savanna biome that I just have not seen any quite like these. And I'm breeding them up. So we sort of have a single breed of horse in here, just like we kind of have a single breed of cow. These are the warm biome cows. And as you can see in here, I've got troughs in all of these for water for all these guys. I've got extra hay bales for these guys to be eating out here. I've left one of my shulker boxes out here with all the stuff used to breed the animals. And I've kind of tried to make it look like the outer edges of this pasture are a little less used. There's a little more, like the middle part's been heavily grazed, and then out of side of this we have more grass growing, just again to try and give it that sort of real lived in and I feel to it, and I'm super, super happy with how all this has turned out. And then the last guys that I haven't talked about yet, as you could see them a little bit, is the polar bears. I haven't been able to figure out quite what I want to do with them yet. So I've kind of left them behind here, and I'm going to figure out something cool and fun to do with the polar bears at some point, but I haven't quite got there yet. So the last creatures that sort of got their own enclosure is the pandas, and of course this is the temple of the crying pandas, so these pandas are going to stay on the temple. I'm going to breed some more of them up, and you can see that I named the two babies Roly and Polly. And I had to put a fence all the way around here because they just kept trying to roll right off. In fact, I ended up finding a couple of babies who needed rescuing from the second level of the temple, and I felt really, really bad. I'm going to eventually trim these guys down and make them a little bit bushier and put a little bit more foliage up here so these guys have a slightly nicer area. And I would like to make another panda enclosure on the other side here, and maybe even put a few pandas wandering down around. But I don't want to put these fences everywhere, and as I said, the pandas, even the adults, kept like falling off the edges. So these are not the brightest mobs in Minecraft, and that's okay. We love them anyway. And yeah, this was just I had an absolute blast making all of these enclosures and really sort of getting to the point where this felt like a really neat, lively, lived in space. And yeah, I'm really excited about it. And what it actually really highlighted to me was the fact that I haven't really done that yet with this main part of my base. You can see that there's the fountain behind me that's unfinished. Now I've got the summer fountain finished, but I haven't really done any of the other fountains. I haven't given that same feeling of life and lived inness to this whole courtyard in and around this temple. So I think that's where I'm really going to focus my next efforts on, because it was just so much fun. It gives me so much joy to walk around this area and just feel all the movement and like really look at, where the path blends into the cobbled and the paved part of it. And, the leaf litter, just making it feel lived in and feel like there's actual activity going on here. That just made me very happy. So I am going to focus on the main part of the temple and also lighting, because I've got torches everywhere, and I finally got rid of the torches in the area behind me by the stable. You can see I've used lanterns in a lot of cases. In other places in the pasture, I put shroom lights underneath and then put moss carpet on top to sort of hide them. But it's really nice to have that lighting done in a more natural way without having torches everywhere. So I think that's what I'm going to focus on for the next episode, is getting this part of it all done. I do realize I did not get my aquatic baby mobs this episode, which I feel badly about. So I am going to start off the next episode doing that. Maybe put a little bit of an enclosure for them. We'll see. I might do that the episode after, but we'll definitely get the babies in the next one. And after that, it will be me trying to get this temple looking a little bit more lived in and a little bit more finished. Anyways, this has been a whole lot of fun. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. So I've been Zhemmie. I hope you've enjoyed this part of my midlife crisis, and I will see you next time.